generator. Virgo is the Ra, the outside, another eye. Virgo is the one that embodies, is the one that is all about daily transition, analysis. Analysis is all about daily transition. That's the lumbar area. And we're going to talk about that more when we get into August. But for now, just know that there's a trinity between Virgo, Leo, and Cancer that we are going to be discussing, just to tell you the relationship that they have. For now, you can see the relationship between Cancer and Leo. Leo is what Cancer is protecting. You remember when Christians would say, in the name of Jesus. Let me just even show you that image. When it has the 24 hours in it. But let me just do this here. Visualize. Learn to visualize before I bring it the way it is. So when this is the 24 hours is what protects the heart. Meaning your self-love can be protected inside your 24 hours, inside your privacy. Remember also, Cancer is your relationship with yourself. So your relationship with yourself can protect you. It can protect your self-love. Actually, let me not say it can. Your relationship with yourself protects your self-love. And when Christians say, in the name of Jesus to everything, they're just referring to that protection, that the way you spend, how you spend your 24 hours every day protects your self-love. As the ability to fight. Remember, this is protection to the heart. It has the ability to protect your self-love, protect your harvest, protect your finances. That's how you spend your 24 hours. You don't even need to have a gun. As long as you spend your 24 hours in a way that is protective of your self-love. Mahadash is the ruling planet at a particular period of life. Like, Spencer. You're way ahead of me more. You're way ahead of me. So now you're the one who's supposed to be teaching me, because I'm lost completely. I'm complete at Mahadasha as the ruling planet. As in the ruling planet. Mahadasha as in the ruling planet. So Mahadasha is the ruling planet at a particular period of life. So the planets that rule at a particular period of your life, like Venus, Pisces, second house. First of all, I will delete that second house, because the way Europeans name their houses, I don't subscribe to that. So let me stick to Venus, like Venus, Pisces, Venus, self-belief. Yeah, so when Venus is ruling your Pisces or something, I don't know how to arrange it properly to say it, but just roughly looking at it is, that's the period where you should love your self-belief. You know, it just translates to exactly what it is. When Venus is... Yeah, Venus is ruling your self-belief. Love is ruling your self-belief. Your infinite presence. Love is ruling your infinite presence. Your infinite. Your ability love is ruling your ability to transition into the infinite. Or you transition into the infinite with love. Something like that. Anyway, guys, let me get into telling you all about June. Can I? Because today I just wanted to teach about how authenticity is connected to this particular area. Remember, it is the authenticity that dictates the type of self-love that you intake according to your discernment, your nose. And guys, nose, black people have nose trauma due to iconoclasm. Imagine them destroying the noses of black people, like of black people statues like that. Has everything to do with the reason why black people are destroying their noses. She'll tell you how deep spirituality goes. There's probably the people who destroy their noses are the people who are associated with their ancestors whose noses were really destroyed. Love your nose so much. Your nose dictates the amount of air that you can take in. If your nose is big like this, guys, can I say it or I'm going to be rude? But let me say it so that maybe somebody can comprehend why their nose is the way they are.
Your nose is big.
And I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just trying to explain. So the way I've even explained to you, nose is where self-love enters. My nose is big. I'm sorry, Wanyana, but listen. Nose is where self-love enters. So the way your nose is, your ancestors put it like that because they know the amount of love that you need, the amount of self-love that you need. If you have a nose like it, that is big like this, it probably means that your alveoli is crying. Your alveoli is crying to be cleansed. There's a lot of hatred that the ancestors left here that is crying to be removed. And guys, believe me, some people will not believe it because we live in a world where people are not patient. But you can have a natural nose reduction by just ensuring that you clean the alveoli. The more you clean the microseconds here, the more your nose will be like, now they don't need so much love. White people have their nose that small because of the contents that are inside of them. Their ancestors know that it doesn't need so much air going in. It doesn't need so much love going in. Black people, if you have a very huge nose like the one of a pregnant woman, a pregnant woman's nose becomes so big because extra love to protect. There's a necessity for that extra love to protect whatever is inside. It's funny, but imagine it's true. And that your nose, the shape of these holes is directly proportional to the love that you need. So imagine if you reduce it. Guys, it might sound funny, but these are the things that are happening inside of us. People are not patient enough to wait for the natural happenings. Because, guys, the body shifts. If a woman's stomach can swell and go back like that, know that your body can shift. Your body can always shift. As long as you know why a certain part is looking the way it is looking, you can actually work with the alchemy of the inside to make the correct, changes that are necessary, and then you will morph into what you want. Rather than going, but anyway, I don't want to judge anybody. It's okay, whatever you decide to do. As long as know that the moment you shortcut, like you're not patient to wait for that natural occurrence to happen, and you shortcut, then know that you're going to have to shortcut also in paying back. You're going to have to shortcut in paying back. When you reduce your nose like that, you're going to have to love yourself a lot overnight in order for you to need less air. I don't judge anybody. It's okay. There are people who love shortcuts. I shortcuts. Go. But be aware of it. Win with the shortcut. Do the surgery and then be aware of the gravitational pull that has changed. And then work to embody the change that you just transition into overnight. There are people who have the power to do it. There are people who can do it. You manage to embody that change that you've transitioned, you're good to go. But if you're slacking behind, you've gotten your nose reduced, and your self-love is still the same as the way it was when your nose was big, then with time, there's going to be so much force. Remember force of nature. Force of nature, when it will force itself out, that air will want to force now entry, and rapture things as it is doing that. So I hope I'm making sense to somebody. There's no judgment. Awareness is key, Owada. Awareness is key. We can be totally best friends, even if you have surgeries. As long as you are aware and you are helping your body to adjust to the necessary changes that you did. It's okay. Everything is fine as long as you can take it. Yeah, so that's what it's. The body is built according to how the ancestors left the room. Everyone's body is built according to how the ancestors left the room. So if you want to, changing is possible. Even growing tall. Those are things that are possible. It's just that we live in a timeline where people are not patient enough. People are not patient enough for these things to come to pass. But these are things that when you focus on, they come to pass. Anyway, let me talk now about... I'm going to go back to here just as I talk about June. As I talk about where we are. Yeah. I wish everybody the best though. I wish everybody the best. That's the best we can do. I hope people get, the students meet the teachers at the right time so that the teachers can help the students to move forward properly from whichever situation they are on. So what is June? June is the generator of harvest. Just like I told you, June generates harvest. July becomes the harvest. And then August is now the harvest waiting to be stored, distributed. Visualization of the distribution. So that is how it goes. We will roughly. So now we are in June, which is the generator of the harvest season. I've already explained to you what harvest is all about. Now June is called the respiratory system, which is the harvest system. Know that the respiratory is the harvest system. The process of breathing in, you are harvesting more self-love. The more self-love you harvest, the more timeline. Lifespan, let me put it like that. The more self-love, the more lifespan. So work on as much self-love as possible because that is the only secret to life. The moment you stop self-loving, you exit this particular consciousness of dimension. So what? So June means you have harvested enough self-love to run you the whole year. Remember, June initiates the harvest of enough self-love to run you the whole year. When you come to July now, that is the harvest now. Remember, look at the position or the relationship between the lungs and the heart. The lungs protect the heart. The ribs protect the heart. They are all there protecting the heart. So now, after the heart has been harvested, it runs the whole body. The whole body. The heart is like the circulatory system. So there is a respiratory system, and then we have now the circulatory system that runs you the whole 12 houses. When we say June gives you self-love that runs you the whole year, it is self-love that you harvest in June that runs you the whole year. In now July, the embodiment of that running throughout the 12 parts of the body. Running the whole year is just running throughout the 12 parts of the body. If you don't have a self-love here, you're going to get tired here. You're going to get very tired here in July. You'll get tired in August. You won't even be present if you don't harvest until you come back again to harvest. So harvest is the process of breathing. The basic process of harvesting is the process of breathing. That's why the lungs, they look like trees. The lungs, they look like trees. are almost a portrayal of the lands of Mumbi, the lands of Creator, the lands of harvest. So the process of breathing is what is the harvest. Now breathing in harvests self-love, while breathing out expels self-hate. So that's all that happens in June. That's what I'm explaining. The process of death is the process of stopping to harvest self-love and giving in to self-hate. So the process of physical death, when you physically stop loving yourself, the next thing you're going to drift towards disease until you die. Or you'll just die instantly through an accident. If you stop loving yourself slowly by slowly, you will die through disease. If you stop loving yourself instantly at once, you'll die through an accident. Now listen. Inside June is where you have a self-love. Now the process of death is the process of stopping to harvest, while the process of love is the process of harvesting. So there's physical harvesting and then there's spiritual harvesting. Showing up 12 hours a day, every day, to attend to your consciousness. That is you harvesting self-love. When you refuse to show up 12 hours a day, to harvest, remember there's love that you gain from breathing in and out. That's one life. You have two types of lives. You have a life that you get from breathing in and out, and then you have a life that you get from harvesting the 12 houses. The love that you get from breathing in and out is the one that ensures your life, your longevity. Now, the one that you get from harvesting is the one that ensures your wealth. So you can breathe in and out, harvest longevity, but not harvest the 12 houses, which will give you longevity but without wealth. If you want longevity and wealth, harvest the 12 hours a day, and also harvest you loving yourself the 12 hours a day. Now you loving yourself the 12 hours a day is different from you breathing in and out. You loving yourself 12 hours a day is what gives you wealth, and that wealth is what is marked by the word Bantu. The people, the melanated. Bantu is just melanated people, the original people. So the original people were able to harvest 12 hours a day because there was no war during the beginning of time, the beginning of life or whatever. So black people, by just virtue of being here, by being here, the first people on the planet, their ancestors being the first people on the planet, automatically gave you a free pass when it comes to long-term harvest, because your ancestors have been here for a very long time. They harvested for millions of years before harvest was not possible. When harvest was not possible, that is the time when albinism starts. Albinism, Noah, the story of Noah. Albinism starts with the Noah story. And then Noah builds the ark. When the Noah people, they knew very well they were not harvesting. And they knew very well what that was going to cause to the collective consciousness. Because he who shall not work shall not eat. So now when I'm working, you're not working. But you have to eat. Which food are you going to eat? Now that is the time that albinism, the story of albinism started. With that particular hatred. The moment you stop harvesting and I'm harvesting, the next thing that is going to come in is hate. And then Noah builds the ark of only people who hate themselves. While everybody else and everything and all the giants that black people had built, killed by the flood. Flood is what? The tears. The tears of the cut trees, the giant trees that were cut. Some of them, water comes from Bantu lands. And most of these waters, when you look at Bantu lands where water comes from, they come from trees most of the time. Springing. Most water, they spring from trees. And those giant trees, they used to have a lot of waters. And when you look at that even spiritually, ancient Africans that had built gigantic central nervous systems. People who knew all the answers, they were in Africa. Tall, long trees of the Bantus, they were in Africa. Cutting those particular trees brought a lot of tears to indigenous lands, and especially the black lands and the lands of African people. Those tears were the great floods that drowned everything in Africa except the Noah and the Ark. The story of the Noah and the Ark is a mockery of the destruction of black civilization. In case you did not know, that the story of the Ark is a mockery of the destruction of black civilization. So now you know. But anyway, that story starts from failing, generational failure to harvest. Generational failure to harvest. During that story of the flood, there was mourning everywhere. After the tallest trees were cut, everything was destroyed. There was mourning everywhere. And that mourning is what they named the Great Flood. The Great Flood was the great mourning of the loss and destruction of black civilization. And the people that survived was Noah and their people. Noah was an albino. Those are the ancestors of the colonizers. Anyway, as I was saying, I was still explaining this particular June thing. So as I've already explained, June is all about exchange of love and harvest of love and expulsion of self-hate. That is the thing that you're supposed to be working on. And you should work on protecting your self-love like a soldier in the army. Because I'm telling you, there will be people who will want to snatch it away from you. And if you joke, it will be snatched and rubbed and destroyed and spat on your face. So be very careful. Now, the self-hate that is expelled as a result of self-loving is then absorbed by trees into renewal. So trees are very important. They are forest for renewal, for restricting over expansion. Resting is all about Capricorn energy. Restricting over expansion. And what are trees in nature? Trees, we have trees that are trees in the forest, and then we have trees that are people. Our Africans were destroyed, but we are building back. We are building back the giant trees. And the giant trees, people with a central nervous system that is so big and so wise that any word you speak is medicine to the people that listen to you. Those are the trees. So whenever you hate yourself, the trees will help you love yourself. The trees are supposed to help you. Every time you say, oh my God, I don't like my teeth. You know, a tree is supposed to tell you, but let me see. Do you know that this is telling you the beauty of whatever you have? So that is what the trees are all about, whether they are humans or plants. So now, today we are at June 11th, which is a full moon. What is today all about? Long harvesting of self-love season begins for women first. Remember, we are here. We are at June. I think I should have put this thing. Okay, next time I'm teaching about this thing, I'll put it more in a way that it's more comprehensible. I think I should have put the solstice here instead of here. But anyway, just look at it for now. We are at June. And June has the solstice. Now, what is a solstice? This is the one that marks the beginning of the harvesting season, the harvesting era for all creations. But the moon, the full moon of today, marks the beginning of harvest for women. So today, women always come first before men. Women always come with the moons first before transition, for everybody else to transition. So women are transitioning today. into that harvest initiated period. Now, what should you be watching out for? People who are tempting you into hating yourself. There are going to be many. Somebody's just going to come out of the blues and call you ugly. Somebody's just going to trigger you out of the blue so that you can abandon yourself. Your self-love is going to be so much triggered just to give you that final push of you standing up for yourself and you standing up for your self-love, because that is your harvest that you're doing. So this full moon is called the ripe moon. You know, it symbolizes fruits. Same fruits that grow on a woman's chest. That symbolizes storage of infinite information. Fruit is the storage of infinite information. That's why they have seeds, most of them. So that is what you are harvesting in this particular full moon. It's the trigger. Now, what is happening to women today are going to happen to the rest of the population that don't call themselves women. From June 21st, June 20th and June 21st, in there, somewhere in between, we are transitioning from the sun being more than the moon. We are starting to transition from the sun having more power than the moon. That transition is starting to happen. So when you reach here, the sun is more powerful, but when you reach here, you divert. So that you start having the sun losing its power, and then it enters into the low hemisphere, chini, it dies, and it's born again. So the sun is here where it's supposed to now go into the other equinox where it loses its power completely and goes into storage. So listen to this. June 20th and June 21st, which is the summer solstice. June 20th or June 21st, depending on where you are, which is the summer solstice. Sorry. What does the summer solstice mark? It marks the beginning of long harvest season for all the population in the northern hemisphere. You are harvesting. Remember what June is all about. Cancer energy is all about privacy. So people in the northern hemisphere are harvesting. Harvesting is all about privacy. Please, wealth fears noise. Where there's too much noise, wealth does not stay. So now the harvest is happening to the people who live by heaven. They are going into isolation, but with harvest. While the people who live in hell, they are going into... Now, let me show you something. Let me show you something even before I make that point. Summer solstice marks the beginning of long harvest, which is Cancer season, for all population in the northern hemisphere, which is heaven. Everybody who has been respecting their inner authority, they're entering into long harvesting of love. You're going to be loving yourself more. Because they planted at equinox. So what? You're going to harvest here because you planted here. You're going to harvest here because you planted here. But remember, here is not plantation worthy for everyone. People who live in hell cannot plant here because winter is here. So people who live in heaven plant here because there is no winter here. So by the time they move here, they are harvesting. But people who winter is here, by the time they move here, now there is no harvest. Restricting over expansion needs to happen. So populations in the southern hemisphere, or people who live in hell, did not plant anything at the equinox. Okay? Because the sun was dead. It was winter. So in June, they are subjected to self-usage, to restrict over expansion of being useless to themselves. When there is winter, nothing goes on. You can't plant anything. The sun is not there. Nothing grows. So it makes you useless to yourself. By the time you're reaching here, when you're somebody who live by the southern hemisphere or hell, winterlands, then you have not harvested anything. And so you are subjected to Capricorn energy. If you don't harvest anything here, you go back. While everybody else is going, you go back. Now you have to be outside. Self-use. Self-use is all about being outside in order to be useful to yourself and to restrict over-expansion of self-uselessness during winter. While the people who live in the northern hemisphere, people who were able to plant here, them they're just going to harvest here. Meaning right now, them they don't need to be outside so much. While these ones are outside, them they just need to be inside and harvest their wealth. And then, you continue normally. But when people who go back here, you have to go to self-knowledge, blah, blah, blah. So there are people who then they round like this. They don't have nyash. They don't get to have nyash. They come from here, they are not utilizing this side. While there are people who they go all the way. The sun is present throughout. So according to where you live in, and remember right now, like I said, you can live in winterlands, but you still obey your inner authority. So you will go by this particular cycle of the Bantus. But if you live in winterlands and you don't obey your inner authority, then you will be stuck in half a circle. You will never, you don't harvest full. You can't harvest full because there is no confidence. Why there is no confidence? There is no self-love. Why there is no self-love? Their ancestors did not harvest self-love. Now, lastly, we have the new moon on 25th June. Inside June, we don't have any meteors. Inside June, we don't have any meteors or asteroids or whatever. We're going to start having asteroids in July again and August. So that's when I'll talk about it. Short, that's why I was very reluctant to even talk about it, because there's not so much going on apart from the natural theme. And June 25th, which is the new moon, is the new beginning when it comes to harvest now. Now that new moon is when it marks now harvest. Now Leo is born. So I told you the new moon is when the ancestors are not so much around. And new beginning starts when you are alone, you can make your own strides by yourself. The ancestors are cheering in the background. And then you get into July. Up to that particular point, tuko pamoja. Are you seeing where we are? So right now the only challenge you have is love yourself unapologetically, especially Africans, please. So much as an African. Your ancestors are ready. Europeans have to drive so far. It's the truth, though. If the world was straight, these things that I'm saying would be taught in school before you even get anywhere. Europeans have to drive so far into self-love. And same as people who bleach, those are the same people. If you want to know who are the ancestors of Europeans, there are people who bleach right now. Because remember, it just reached a point where Nilotic just decided albinism for the win. And that's how we started. Some people stopped harvesting. So now when you tell Europeans that the only way we are going to build a better world together is when you guys accept the sun to transform you, they will never agree. Or let me not say they will never agree. I hope one day they agree. So that they can burn in the sun and harvest some stuff. Okay? So guys, I'm going to call this the end of our class today. And the next class, I'm still going to be expounding on these things. In-depth explanations. Because this is where the food is. Imagine ni ukweli. That's what it is, imagine. Europeans have very weak hearts. Hey. Most of the time when I interact with most of them, and you know me, I'm nilotic, they get very surprised that I'm rude and their heart is very weak. And you know, us nilotics, we have some of the darkest people on the planet. We don't have time for side shows. Like, we don't have time for side shows at all. So most of them perceive us as very rude, like we are not human at all. We are human. We are very human. It's just that we come from different ancestry. So why are they against the sun? Because it is beneficial to the organic, and very ruthless and cruel to the inorganic. When they say, why are they against the sun? They're against the truth. The sun is the truth. And the sun burns anything that is false. Imagine it's as simple as that. Sometimes when I talk about these things, some people think that, oh, it can't be as simple as that. It's as simple as that. The sun gives life and takes away life. So it gives life to the organic and takes away life from the inorganic. It empowers the truth and disempowers false and fake on its own. Yeah, the sun burns anything that's false. But this is not something that most ears are ready to hear. But we have to keep saying it, keep being independent in a way that we are allowed to say it without any nonsensical slavery is the goal. Because at the end of the day, Europeans are here to transform, to harvest. Their vessels are empty and need to be filled. And you know, their vessels are empty and they are in charge of science. So when they found out that their junk DNA is empty, they labeled everyone's junk DNA as empty. Africans have writings on the walls. This black that you see, this darkness that you see, is writings on the walls. Is writings on the walls. Authenticity that is there with me, even when I'm not aware, even when I'm in limbo, even when I don't know myself. The writings on the walls, they stay. But Europeans, they don't have any writings on the walls. They rubbed it off. They rubbed all the writings on the walls. So they don't have that authenticity. You know, there are so many research that you guys need to get into to know how different human beings function. There are people who don't have, you see a lot of black people have voices that direct them on a daily basis. Every microsecond, you have a consciousness. You are two of you. You are mwili. You are the two of you. Some people don't have. Some people are an empty void. Empty void. There's nothing. When they go to sleep, there is no ancestral realm. So they just go to sleep like a doll. Nothing is happening, and then they wake up and they continue with their lives. When I showed you how our existence is in two parts, we have the day and the night. Some people don't have this. Some people don't have this. They only have this. So when they go to sleep, there's nothing. When they are alone, there's nothing. Hey. There are people who are like that on this planet. When they're alone with nobody, there's nothing that's going on. It's a void. Nothing. It's emptiness. So when there's nothing here, you can't harvest anything. Because it takes this for this to happen. So if there's nothing here, then you're walking here as a zombie. You have no instruction from last night on what to do. So that's why this was anybody who has only this and not this, they need this. They need someone who has this as a God, as their God. Because guess what? Their ancestors had writings on the walls and they rubbed it. And probably their ancestor was maybe a Luo. So when they rubbed the writings on the walls, they rubbed the Luo writings on the walls. They rubbed the Zulu writings on the walls. So now they'll need a Zulu. They'll need a real Zulu for them to copy. For the Zulu to give them the instruction, a God, somebody to lead them. They need somebody to lead them. And this is why when you go deep into a European mythology, you find that their gods used to be black. Their gods used to be black because they needed, after rubbing everything and remaining empty, you need somebody to now give you that. Oh, by the way, this is Luo. This is what Luos are like. This is the authenticity of a Luo. This is the authenticity of a Zulu. This is the authenticity of a Luya. By the way, you can have it and, form yourself, harvest so that it reaches a point where you also divide yourself into two and you become whole. Yeah, they are naked and spiritually barren and they want to now steal this by force. Even this is where even cannibalism comes from. Because now when the Greeks, they were tired. The Greeks, they knew they were empty and they were tired of having African gods. So they found out that when you eat a goat, it will give you Capricorn energy. When you eat a cow, it will give you Taurus energy. When you eat a god, it will give you God energy. And that is where, the entire Vatican comes from. Eating the body, drinking the blood. Mm-hmm. It became a spiritual practice to eat the body of gods. Instead of just, humbling yourself and coming into a collaboration. Humility is not easy for the white man. So they'd rather steal it by force. Destiny, eat you alive. Destiny swap. Plagiarize, blah, blah, blah. Things like that. But then people like the Russians, they've stayed, they know that when you are an albedo, you must have a God. But when you are a God, you don't need a God. Is somebody getting me? Yes. Yes. Yeah, so the shit is deep and shallow. The shit is deep and shallow. Because at the end of the day, what you will find that the war between the black and white is all about jealousy of Cain and Abel. One killing the other because they don't have harvest. Abel has harvest because Abel
I think it's fire.
has
No,
authenticity. So Abel has harvest. Cain does not have any harvest. So when Cain brings offerings to the Creator does not accept because Cain is not full. The Cain is not whole. So Cain kills Abel. The story is the same. In whichever dimension, the story is the same.
What's she yapping about?
So how come that all spiritual content creators are
Wow.
white? Oh God.
What? White people
And me, I'm also a spiritual content creator though, and I'm not white. But I think you mean it because I'm not hitting like the whatever so much attention from all corners of the world. And yeah, these people, they are taught to support their own. There's nobody that supports their own more than these people. And then the black ones, they are taught divide and rule. Don't support your own. So even if we have excellent spiritual teachers that are more knowledgeable than the albedo ones, the albedos will support their own. Even if their own is failing, is getting 0, they will make sure that it looks like that one is getting 100%. And then when the black ones, even if their own is getting 100%, nobody will even lift a finger to say that, oh, congratulations or something like that. So also support, which goes back to Zeus as well, the Zeus witchcraft. The Zeus witchcraft that as long as we empower Olympics, we are still supporting up to today. It was a curse. The Zeus was a curse against black people to never support black excellence. And the curse still works up to today. Yeah, if you search anything astrology, white people come first. Let them come first for now. And that's why it is shallow. You know, they're coming first, but with shallow things that doesn't go so deep. They will try, their over-expansion will be restricted. So just give them their time. It's the same way when we got on TikTok. You know, TikTok is like time. It's running like time. It was only white people. To the point, even the TikTok algorithm thought that black people are all ugly, black people don't exist and stuff like that. But then when over-expansion becomes restricted, everything that is in the background has to come to light. So black people, be okay being in the background. When your time to come to light comes, it will come. And thank God that you're still in the background now, because a lot of us were still working on our masterpiece. A lot of us, we're still working on our masterpiece. So work on your masterpiece. And know that as long as tomorrow is infinite, everything that is in the dark will be brought to light when it is deserving, if it is deserving. So just don't worry, okay? The universe will give examination. And the best astrologers will be seen eventually. The best spiritual teachers will stand the test of time. When people start, everybody, we start many. When people are starting, a competition, even a marathon, you start like 2,000 of you. I remember when we were in University of Nairobi. My microbiology and biotechnology class, we started almost 400 people or somewhere around that. Graduation, we were 40. By the time we were graduating, we were 40 that started together. Along the way, we met other people that also repeated other classes. But the ones that we started together, so don't worry, my dear. When pressure is applied, you see the real gold. Yeah. When pressure is applied, you see the real gold. So you just don't be jealous. Just say that it's your time. Behave like we are in a music festival. We are currently in a music festival and everybody's having their time on stage. Everybody's having their time on stage. So give them their time on stage, knowing very well that your time on stage will come. And the question is, when your time on stage comes, will you be ready? Will you be ready to take up your responsibility? Because that is the most important thing. Don't flop. Your time will come. They will try to manipulate you so hard until you stop believing in yourself. Adjust proximity. Adjust proximity from souls that you know are demonic to you. Unless you're a slave in Egypt. Adjust your proximity, please. Because there's no winning. There's never winning. They will make you be an albino like them. Yeah, don't. They don't even, when you start talking to them about these things that I'm speaking to you about, they don't even know what we're talking about. Most of them don't even know now what we're talking about. They get lost. And remember, currently on social media, they are the most. Because, all their people have phones. Us in Africa is only almost a third. A third of us only are the ones who are online. We are not even half online yet. So don't worry. Take your time, and our ancestors knew that we were going to need this time. So take your time to equip yourself. Take your time to remember who you are. Remember your craft. Embody your skills. Because your time is coming. Yeah, so anyway, guys, allow me to go as you reminisce on what I've just taught. Yeah, sharpen your swords. Sharpen your swords. I'm at a point where I don't even want time to move so fast. Like, I have so much to work on. There's so much to still work on. I just need more time. And time nowadays just flies so fast. I just need more time, and it's okay. I'm not in a hurry. I'm always telling my ancestors, it's okay. I'm not rushing anywhere. Just allow me to equip and sharpen my sword. So sharpen your swords. And don't use this time to be jealous. Use this time to harvest.
What are you doing?
Are we doing Zaburi on Sunday? Of course. Our normal schedule is not affected unless and when it is affected, I communicate prior. Please, give me my flowers. I'm always communicating prior. You can trust my process. You can bank on me to always communicate. Even if I was in a relationship with you, you can bank on me to always communicate. I'll communicate until I can't communicate any more than But you can always bank on me to communicate. Yeah. Enjoy yourselves, guys, as well. I hope this is the way I said from the beginning that after learning this, you're going to fall on default. Do you see yourself falling on default when it comes to harvesting? Yeah, the time is moving very fast. But it's okay. As long as the time is there, I'm fine. I'll just sleep more. Yeah, will you be moving on default now? Yeah, just move on default. Know that the challenge is love, self-love, 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 self-love. In the thoughts, self-love, 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 self-love. Anytime a thought comes that is not self-love, you stop at the door and you question, you hold an interview. Who has sent you here? Where are you coming from? Why are you here? Have a conversation, be diplomatic, communicate also. And then you'll be fine. Siyabonga, my dear. Bye. And I love you all. See you guys on Sunday. And I think this Sunday I'm going to start posting. This Sunday I'm going to start posting again. Just telling you that we will have a class. I rested, now we are going back again. And then also this Saturday I'm coming back on OnlyFans. So see you guys there with new content.